Hi, I'm Katie from What Katie Did, and today I'm going to tell you about our recycled yarn seam stockings, which are finally here, which is so exciting. This time last year, I spoke to you about She stockings, and which is yarn made from dog hair, and it was actually an April Fool's, and I did fool some of you. And just a few weeks ago, I had a message on YouTube when I did mention our recycled nylon stockings, and they were chasing up the She stockings, saying, you know, what happened to them, and I had to explain it was an April Fool. So this time around, really, I can't believe that a year later we do have an eco version of our seam stockings, because it's something I never believed would happen, especially during the pandemic and all the events which have happened in the last year. Our recycled nylon stockings are made from 70% recycled nylon, and this is because although the leg is made from recycled yarn, the foot, seam and welt stocking top are made from virgin yarn. And I don't know exactly why this is at the moment, but we've made so much progress with this so quickly. I'm not really asking any questions. I'm just happy to have recycled yarn stockings here and available for you guys. The recycled yarn is more expensive than the virgin yarn, so we're only going to make our three most popular shades to begin with to keep the price the same. So we're doing our champagne and black, doing champagne and latte, and plain black, and we're going to see how they go. In the long term, our aim is to swap all our seam stockings over to recycled yarn. But at the moment, due to the pandemic and us being very, very thrifty, we are being careful with our pennies, and we're just going to see what the reaction is and take things slowly. Behind the scenes in fashion, a lot of work is going on behind the scenes towards sustainability. The fashion industry, and fast fashion in particular, is very, very polluting, and I am hoping one of the things during the pandemic is that people will have looked at their wardrobes, you know, due to working from home and not seeing other people so much, and really thought about what they actually need. Certainly behind the scenes, there is a lot of work being done, and people often think that if you've got a fashion brand, you go to your factory with your design and with your money and saying, this is what I'd like you to make. And it doesn't work like that. Just this week, had our factory in Latvia, who we've been trying to get a new slip out of for over a year now, and they've just turned around to us and said they don't want to make it because it's too complicated for them. And a few years ago, we were working with a factory in Derby in the UK who made our 1930s pyjamas and our 1930s robe, and they turned around and said that our designs were too complicated for them and they didn't want to make them anymore. And rather ironically, they then went and started making our designs for another company. So I don't know how that works, but it is, you know, when you work with a factory, it is up to them what they want to make for you. So we were only able to make these because the factory that we work with in Italy was open to the idea and had already sourced the yarn. And we don't know if they were making them for other people or not, because everything's rather secretive. But the fact that they said that they would do them, that's the only reason that we've been able to make them ourselves. And again, with the other factories we work with, especially when you're working with overseas factories and they're, you know, sourcing the fabrics, some of the fabrics for you, very much the ball is in their court as much as ours, because it's, you know, it's a collaboration. And if they just turn around and say no, we can't do it, then the answer is no, they can't do it, and you have to wait until they turn around and can do it, or until you go somewhere else to another company that can do it. So we're just very, very thankful that the factory we work with in Italy was open to our ideas and was able to do it for us so quickly, because I just can't believe that 3 months ago I asked if it could be done, and they said yes, and now 3 months later we actually have the stock in our hands. Of course, when we talk about sheer nylon stockings, they are not the most durable item. And when I did a video about our recycled yarn a couple months ago on YouTube, someone did say, well, sheer stockings surely aren't that sustainable anyway, and you should make them out of a thicker yarn. And my answer to that was there are already a few companies making opaque tights in recycled yarn, so that market already exists. And opaque tights really aren't our markets, and we need to make a more sustainable version of the stockings we currently sell. So that's why we're sticking with the sheer yarn. But in addition, we need to take more care of the clothes we have and the stockings we wear, and be prepared to do little repairs, and keep them going as long as possible. Because if we look back into the 40s and 50s, although all the pictures we see are mostly glamorous clad legs, I have also seen pictures where the legs have been really heavily darned, and it was a job for some people. Some people actually, you'd send your nylons out to be repaired by a professional person who was an expert stocking repairer, who'd then send them back to you once they were done. And that was an actual job. If you had the money, you didn't actually repair them yourself. You'd actually send them out to be repaired, and that's how valuable stockings were seen as. Whereas today, you'd get a hole and you'd throw them away. So if you do get a little hole, and it is quite common for your toe to go through the ends, you can, just with a tiny stitch, it's virtually invisible, and it just takes 30 seconds to do. You just need to get into the habit of sewing up any tiny holes you might have, the toes at the ends. It's actually quite rare that you get a ladder, or I find it's quite rare that I get a ladder. But if you do get a ladder, you can stop it from running by using a tiny bit of nail polish on the ends of the run. You can also use a squirt of hairspray, but of course the hairspray doesn't last when you wash your nylons. In the past, you would have been able to sew up the run in the stocking, and this is how crazy it was. This is how valuable stockings were seen as someone would actually re-hook up the nylon or the silk to make an almost invisible mend, which just seems incredible today. But of course, back then, stockings didn't contain elastane, and they tended to be a heavier gauge. They tended to be a heavier nylon than we use today, or a heavier yarn. So it was actually possible with our Glamour Seamed stockings, because they are so fine. It would be impossible to do an invisible mend on these, but obviously you could have done back in the day. So that's my tip for you. We can do our bit for sustainability by using recycled yarn, but really it's down to you as well to look after your stockings and really take care of them to ensure they last as long as possible. If you do have any questions about what Katie did and sustainability, please get in touch. And in the meantime, please take care, and I'll catch up with you soon.